to our last of the academic sessions, to be particular. So we will have a discussion session facilitated by SMRITI Rana. So over to you, ma'am.
Thanks, Raju. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. So yes, today's discussion topic is planning ahead, and so this is not going to follow the typical pattern that we've been following so far with the presentation and things. As you might have seen Raju's message, we're going to be discussing what some of the learnings have been for all of us, and also what we'd like to do going forward. Has everybody had a chance to read Rajlakshmi's message on WhatsApp? All right. So I'm sure as we go along, there'll be a lot more to discuss, and I'm sure the conversation will evolve and build on itself. So to start with, I think what would be really nice for all of us to hear is from each of you what what this whole thing has been like, what the Aarohan experience has been like. And as Raju's put down very helpfully, she put down 3 questions. So I'd like to take it one at a time, and maybe we can, Raju, how would you like to do this? Shall we do one round with all 3 questions, or shall we do one question at a time? What do you think? Ashla?
One question at a time, ma'am. After that question, we can have a discussion on that question, and then we'll go to the other question.
Great. Okay, so the first question, of course, is what have you found most useful through this entire session, through all the sessions that we've done? If there's one thing that you could say that was most useful to each of you individually, shall we start with that? Who'd like to go first?
Shankar, sir?
I am new to palliative care, but as a founder member of Parkinson Group, I find a lot of possibilities of helping our members from what I have learned here. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Was there any... okay, we'll come to that next question. Thank you, sir. Thanks very much.
Chandrasekhar, sir?
Yeah, actually, honestly, I was some 3 or 4 sessions I could not attend because of a lot of movement in my case. But what is most important is that of whatever I have seen through, firstly, what has really that there is a lot of what I have taken home is that there are a lot of people who are committed, and there is a possibility of a very good synergy, and taking help of all these people. It is possible to create a structure, and you will have, as I move along this direction, I am more confident that I will have people to help me out. That is the biggest takeaway which I have from these sessions of Aarohan. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you actually say is that you found a sort of a well, I wouldn't say a support network, but the potential for support from this group as well, and perhaps we can all help each other out. I'm sorry, you're muted, sir.
Same synergetic thought process, and of shared perspective. So
there is a commonality.
Yes.
Shared perspectives. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. More, ma'am?
What I learned from this, look, palliative was totally new for me. I have learned few terms. I have only come to know what is palliative and what is the care, what are the caregivers, carers, and advanced directives. Certain new terms I have understood. I have understood that I can do things, but it will take some time to seep in, because it is a vast thing, and it is. I'm just collecting stones while learning this new topic. So thanks to Pallium that I have come to know all these things. I have learned a lot of things, but it will take some time to seep in, because there are a lot of things which I'm just trying to comprehend. I have learned them, I'm learning still now, but it is taking time to comprehend, and I will take some more time maybe to put things into action also. I'm thankful to Pallium
Thank
for
you.
that matter.
Thank you. And I think, actually, to be honest, for all of us, it's a lifelong learning process. So I don't think the learning ever really stops. But I'm really glad that we were able to introduce you to terms like advanced care planning and advanced directives, because I mean, those are so crucial, I think, to a lot of the journeys that all of us are on. So thank you. I'm glad that we were able to share something new with you.
Right.
Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, Indra ma'am have given a chat comment like the legal aspects and resource mobilization. She found it more important in our sessions. She can't talk, I suppose. So, next, Jyoti, ma'am.
I think palliative, yes, is definitely a new term. And I have learned lot of terminology, new terminology in this whole process of 16 sessions. I've got to understand what palliative care is all about. And personally, as a caregiver to my dad, I think I've learned that, I've learned to be more confident as a caregiver. I think that's something which I've taken from this program, because I've seen, if I thought that I had a small problem, I've seen people with a number of issues, during this whole program. So mine is probably just a drop. So it's given me a lot of confidence, and going ahead, I hope I can associate myself in some way or the other with palliative care. I'm in Hyderabad, so I'm looking forward to something where I can do, contribute myself to. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that's really reassuring to our team to hear that you as a caregiver have felt more empowered. That was actually one of the key goals of Aarohan, which, like you all know, it means to rise up, to arise, to really feel a little bit more confident. So I think as a team, I can speak for everybody, that's really gratifying for us to hear. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Samira?
I think.
Yeah. So then Smriti uses the word as a team. Those are very delightful words to listen to. It is really a wonderful team. I really admire for that. And always having a guidance from a stalwart like Dr. Rajagopalan, it's no matter how many times you listen to him, listen to his presentations, always a new perspective is being put forward. Though for me, palliative care and the principles are not new, but every time I listen, every time I interacted with the faculties and the presenters here, I learned always new additional things. The most impressive thing and the learning point for me was the presentation by Mr. Anil Patil. Which was the first presentation about the caretakers. And I can say that it was an eye-opener for me. During my communication sessions in ICU, when I talk and interact with a family member, most of the time my communication was about what is happening with your loved one who's on ventilator. But now, apart from discussing that, I dedicate some time, make sure that I talk about what you are feeling as a caretaker. What are your issues and how you are dealing with that. So that I think that I was totally impressed with Mr. Anil's presentation. It has really changed my communication practice and the communication session in my ICU. Second most important and impressive thing was about most useful thing was talk by Tripti Tandon about the developments which have happened over the period of a decade about NDPS Act and the understanding of legality related to that. And Charles is here, Smriti is here, and we initiated some effort related to that. And I got an understanding about that, the law first, out of that presentation, and then a small task like what problem actually we were struggling here in Pondicherry related to procurement of narcotic. I understood. I was not aware of that thing. I was just knowing that there is a shortage. But why there is a shortage of narcotics and how wrong way it is being channelized, this presentation made me to look into that. Okay. Though at this moment we are having currently a setback. Whatever the initial effort made, it didn't. Yes, definitely we will again make an effort to try up in that direction, that it will go back again to what is being mentioned in the channel or pathway of NDPS Act. We'll go ahead with that. So these are the two important, useful learning outcomes I got it out of this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Samira. Raju,
Ma'am. Smriti, ma'am. Ma'am, can you hear us?
yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Sorry, my network is a little bit unstable at the moment. So, am I audible, Raju?
Yes, yes, you are.
Samira, thank you. Thanks so much. I firstly, what you said about, I think the caregivers becoming more visible. I think that.
Ma'am, we have lost you.
I think Smriti has some technical issues. Okay, she's here. You're on mute, Smriti.
Yeah, I'm back on my phone. Can you hear me?
Yes,
yes.
Sorry about that. So Samira, firstly, what you said about the shift in perspective about caregivers, that's amazing. That's really, really heartening. I know you to be an extremely compassionate person anyway, but if this session helped us tweak your perspective more, then I can only imagine what it can do for a lot more people who are not as compassionate as you are. So I hope, of course, I'm sure the quality of care that the caregivers now feel is tremendous. So thank you for sharing that with us. And of course, the practical aspect of understanding the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Amendment. I'm glad you found it useful, because this is something that we as an organization are trying to, advocate for people to be more aware of how important this is to their own practice, to their own vision of doing palliative care where they are. And very often when we don't know what the backstory is, we don't realize the value of what we have today. So yes, I'm familiar. I mean, we've had separate conversations about the situation in Pondicherry, and I really am pleased to hear you say that that session with Tripti clarified a lot. It was an extremely clarifying session for all of us, actually. I mean, even those of us who were familiar with the NDPS, to have somebody like Tripti who's been on the front lines of actually bringing that legislation to life was an eye-opening experience for all of us. So I'm really glad that you found it useful, and actually you've not just found it useful, you've actually gone and done something with it, which is great. Thanks, Samira. Thanks very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Jagrati?
Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Yeah. So before I just say something, like I would really want to thank Pallium India and the team for choosing me as a participant of the Aarohan. Thank you very much. And I'm, of course, I'm a very, very new in this field, but from attending from all these sessions and everything, I've thrown out from my system, nothing can be done. And I've understood the importance of the care, what care can do, to amazingly what care can do. And I've experienced, though I was like at a very initial stage, I was lucky enough to attend. I got 2 visits, one for the cancer patient and one for the dementia. And whatever I used to learn, I used to apply, like, and the care and psychological well-being and everything. And I have experienced that how much I have made a change in their psychological status and their quality of life. The one dementia patient whom I'm attending, she herself is a gynecologist and 79-year-old. The way she is singing and dancing, that is amazed. And the daughters are telling that she has not danced before. And that time, I felt that something, I have gained amazingly by attending this, this. And I started reading. And one thing, like hardly in whoever I come across, people hardly know about palliative care. So nowadays, I'm talking too much wherever I go and wherever I get the chance. What is palliative care? What can it make difference? So I've started applying whichever way I can, and whatever opportunity I get, I just grab it, and I got the chance and I've done it. So, and it is very premature for me to say anything about comment that what changes or anything, because I have to learn lots. So, but only thing I can say, I have learned a lot, and it has enriched me, and it has changed my attitude towards the healthcare, because I've understood the palliative care. So this is what I want to say, and thank you very much once again. Yeah.
How wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Let me first also say there's no such thing as talking too much about palliative care. So please keep doing it. And I know that you are well and truly an advocate of palliative care now, because that's something all of us do. My friends make fun of the fact that I can't go more than 12 minutes in a social gathering without talking about it. So, I mean, but welcome on board properly. I think just the enthusiasm with which you're talking about it in itself speaks volumes. So I'm so delighted that the energy with which you're talking about palliative care, it's such a happy energy, which is, I think, what this palliative care movement really needs. Too often people think of it as something sad and morose, but actually there's a lot of joy in palliative care, and I can see that on your face right now. So thank you for sharing that. Lovely.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is Ajay.
First of all, I want to thank Ashla ma'am for inviting me to this so that I could join here, such a wonderful place, and I could learn so much from here. And actually, this program has helped me to understand the process of growing. I think it was in 2009, 10 or 11, that time when the palliative care was starting in the Ottapalam. That time, one of my relative or a person who was coming to my home, and they told me to join the palliative care, register on the palliative care. That time, actually, we were reluctant to join. We were not thinking that it would be, it was like telling others about our disability. That time, it was such a, that time it was palliative care. The word itself, we thought it was certain organization. Actually, why we don't know anything about that organization. So we were more reluctant to the organization, and it was the activity of the organization. Now I am into this course, so I was so happy to join this course. And and also I tell everyone I know, like Jagrati ma'am just told, everyone I tell about palliative care, and also for the in the students also I tell to join, because like volunteers. Now I am knowing more about palliative care, that it needs more people from outside for the support, because there are less volunteers and people inside the system. So many others are needed. So I most of them I tell about them. And regarding this program, I want to tell that the faculties are so much great, and we get a lot to know from them. Actually, we don't know how far they are, and their knowledge and also their work, they are really great. All of the sessions were really wonderful, but I'm sorry that I bad in remembering names. The two session which one session which I remember completely is the session of the end of life sir took. That it was a great session, and I don't know how much I have to thank for that. And also regarding the carers, I really knew more about, but my mother is actually here, but I came to know more about her after listening to the carer session, what all things actually she need, and all those things I came to understand from this. So I think that I have to call less her. I have to spend some time alone, because she also have some time alone. Otherwise, she won't take any time for her own. So the only way is that I sit quiet, so that she will have some time for her own. So I got that idea from hearing to the session by carer. So it is a great eye opening for me, and I can't thank for that, because such a great. And also the participants, I can say everyone is such a friendly atmosphere. Everyone here, I don't know how to express about the Shankar sir, Jagrati ma'am, and Indira ma'am, Jyoti ma'am, so many and many other names. These are what I don't know. Everyone I feel like so much connected. So thank you so much everyone for all being here. And also one more thing, I'm really sorry that every session I ask some kind of the question which is like out of syllabus, that because I was more attached to my organization. So every time I used to ask some questions like which is not related to the topic. So the session that will conclude in such a way that we will have that discussion earlier at a later point of time. So sorry that for such a questions, but I don't know, every one of you won't take it bad. And thank you so much everyone, thank you. It's really hard that it's going, I can't tell that word end. I don't know, it's a beginning of something else, I think so. Anyway, thank you so much, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ajay. Thank you. I mean, you've everything that you've just said is so valuable. I don't even know where to start. Firstly, absolutely no apology needed for anything that you've asked, because every question is relevant to healthcare, and palliative care is about everything to do with healthcare. So I don't think any of your questions were out of syllabus. I think the syllabus is very vast. So thank you for every one of those questions, because it made us also think about things that we might have not thought about before. So it's been a learning experience one way or the other. You've been such an active participant, and for us, it energizes us as a team to have you there and to ask the questions you ask. And like you said, this has become more of a community of friends, and I think that's a very happy side effect of this whole program, that it's not just a classroom session, but it's actually all of us connecting on so many really important issues in life. And it's not a superficial connection, it's a very deep one. So and I'm sure, like you said, this is not the end, this is the beginning of something else, and that is absolutely beautiful. So thank you for that. And I like your point about engaging more people from outside the immediate circle. That is what is needed. We need to engage people who otherwise are not really connected to what we do, because in some way or the other, health is everybody's issue. I wouldn't say problem, but health is something we should all concern ourselves with. So definitely engage more people from outside our immediate communities. That's a very, very valuable point. Thank you so much. Thanks, Ajay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kamna ma'am.
I think I've attended most of the sessions and have enjoyed each and every one of them. I do learn, I do work with the Indian Cancer Society. And as Indra was saying in her chat, we deal a lot with palliative patients, with caregivers, end of life, after end of life, all of that. And I've learned so much from these sessions, much more than, I knew earlier, of course. But the thing that really has touched both of us, Indra as well as me, and we've learned a lot about is the living will, because that's something which I've personally, been through the last 1 week with someone um, whose husband was on life support, and he had given no instructions about whether he wanted to be on it or not. And the whole burden fell on this poor lady, the guilt, all of it. I think all of us need a living will. And that's something we really learned a lot about. We never knew anything about this till now. So really happy to have joined your sessions. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. The living will is really, it's not just a special document, it's a necessary one. And I think, it's a good exercise for all of us who are, touched by these experiences. It really starts with us. It takes some amount of courage for us to sit down and actually write out our own living wills. And while we are advocates for it, I wonder how many people in the palliative care community have actually sort of sat down and done that document. And I think once we do it, we realize it's not an easy document actually to put your name on. But also there's a sense of relief. There's a sense of something being lifted off your shoulders. And more importantly, like you just highlighted, it takes a burden off the family's shoulders to know what our decisions are. So the living will, as you know, Dr. Roop Gursahani is heading Elicit India. And I think there are more conversations in the mix happening there. So if this is something that is close to you, then, we should definitely keep that conversation going. And I suppose let more people know that such a document exists. It may not be legally binding today, but it is definitely an exercise that goes a long way in relieving the suffering of a family when the time comes. So thank you. I'm glad that the Living Will session had such an impact. And thank you for telling us. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Shantanu, sir.
Am I audible?
Your voice is breaking, sir.
So can you speak now? We have offed your video.
Is it? Can you hear now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. See, firstly, I would like to thank Pallium India to give me a chance to join in this program. And the biggest thing, what I achieve, I would say, I don't feel I am isolated. So I have so many people, I know so many people now who's working with the same kind of mind, which is a great experience for me. And apart from that, two special thing I would like to mention, which is from my personal aspect, I learned about advanced directive and that living will, all those things. And for that, Dr. Roop and Dr. Raj, their session was really, helpful for me. I'm really thankful to them. Another one I would like to mention, which is from my working aspect, I actually learned the need for advocacy for promoting palliative care, which I did. I did everything to do the palliative care from my side, but when I heard the session where she told about National Health Mission and all those things, I went through all those documents, and that was a really helpful for me, an eye-opening thing. And I would like to mention that I am working on it. I've already talked with some government officials, and the working is going on. But all these things, I started thinking that I should do, and I've started doing all these things. And this is, I will definitely mention that this is the result of for joining, this group. That's the result what I have. That's it.
Thank you, Shantanu. This part, that's the empowerment also through advocacy, knowing who to talk to, who are the people in power, and how they must be approached. I feel really glad that you found it actually practically applicable, and I know that there was cause for celebration when you were able to make a few breakthroughs, and I'm glad that we were there with you to celebrate alongside. A very, very happy outcome of this series of sessions has been seeing that being put into action and actually carrying your practice so much further. So thanks for that, Shantanu. And of course, the living will is something that a lot of people are coming out to express appreciation for. So definitely we'll talk about that a little bit more before we wrap this session up today. So thanks, Shantanu. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. So we can move on to Chandrarekha, ma'am. We are asking our first question, which we sent through mail. How useful was these sessions for you?
It was very useful, and good afternoon, everyone. And I especially found the communication skill and the living will very, very important, because I am from Indian Cancer Society Delhi branch, and we are trying to work very extensively on metastatic breast cancer, which is a part of palliative care. And for those people, even we find it sometimes very difficult to talk to them, especially the end of life communication with the patients. So I would like to learn more about it. It was very meaningful and very fruitful for us. I have learned a lot of things. I'm very thankful to you for that. And I think we should learn more about the technicalities of living will also. So I would appreciate if somebody can explain the technical aspect of it. As Indrajit said, it is not very easy to make it, So, and the communication. These two things, and of course, every aspect was very important, but these two things were quite educative and informative and something new to me. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks very much for that feedback. Raju, it sounds like more and more we have to have a much more expanded discussion on the living will topic. So that's something that we should probably make a note of and follow up, because definitely, yes, it's technically, it's a bit, I wouldn't say complicated. It's just that the only phrase I can think of it is that it's a procedural nightmare to implement in today's current scenario. Having said that, it still remains a valuable medium by which to clarify some of these really difficult choices people have to make at the end of their lives. So it has a tremendous amount of value. At the moment, it's not procedurally implementable, but what's really coming to mind to me now is, since so many of you are in the field having to have these conversations with patients and families, in one of the sessions, in fact, the one that Dr. Roop took, we talked about the conversation project. So maybe that is something that I'm going to loop into the end of this conversation, where we can see how we can find synergy between that, what Elicit does, and what this group can also possibly work together on. So thank you, ma'am. Thanks very much for your inputs. Much appreciated.
Thank you, ma'am. So we have completed the first question round. Hello, Srividya ma'am. Can you hear us? Hello, ma'am. Can you hear us, Srividya ma'am?
The video of you.
Ma'am, I suppose she is not there, so we have completed our first round with that question.
We'll go with the second.
The second, sorry, go on, Raju.
We couldn't hear you. I was telling you are muted.
No, so the second question, I think we've overlapped quite a bit with a lot of people's answers. I think the second question was, which session did you find particularly helpful? And I think everyone has pretty much given their answers through this round itself. So that brings me to the third question: is there something that we haven't included yet that any of you feel, that all of you feel should be included in the next round of sessions that we do? Because this was the first time, I mean, you are the first ever batch of Aarohan participants, and so we are learning alongside you. So is there anything, any particular topic that you feel would have been beneficial to you and we should have included?
So we can move it again. So we'll again start with Shankar, sir.
Actually, I wanted to share the sessions which are really very interesting. I have attended all the sessions and I found all of them useful, and particularly the resource mobilization, advanced directives, and end of life, and particularly looking at reversal by Dr. Bhavana. All these sessions were very useful to me, and I'm still following up. Actually, I'm following up with our members as well as with your organization, with Dr. Roop also, with respect to advanced directives, that is living will. But unfortunately, living will doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Only 2 people have taken this authorized way. But we can always put it in our medical record regarding our choice of advanced directives. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, so I mean, you've mentioned your concern, and you also did say that Dr. Roop hasn't responded yet. We'll make sure that we connect you both, and that conversation also carries on. The 2 people who have invoked it are people who, from what I understand in that article, is that they are people who had certain connections as well. But to what extent it will actually be honored is a different story altogether. So this is again the technical part of the advanced directives or the advanced care planning procedures that that has been flagged off by a few of you today. So that's something that we'll be happy to discuss in more detail. Thank you, sir.
Ma'am, at the same time, sir, can you say which topic was we have missed on, or how?
Any topics which we left out?
I'm not able to exactly tell you the topic, but the session content can be sent at least 3 or 4 days before the session takes place. But we will read it and be prepared. That is one thing. And if you can send a list of our participants with their contact details, we will be able to interact later. These are 2 points I want to convey. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Those we have noted down it. Chandrasekhar, sir?
Yeah, actually, to be very frank, because I did not attend 4 lectures, I don't qualify to tell what can be added. Let's be very frank about it, because however, I promised that I had to be very busy with my PhD and there were issues, but I will, once I go through the.
Sir, we have lost you.
How.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Can you repeat it once again, sir?
Yeah. So once I will indicate. I don't qualify. Firstly, because I didn't attend 4 sessions. So how do I? Maybe I have missed what is in my mind. Firstly, and secondly, let me go through the entire topic, and I will revert to you and to Dr. Rajgopal and SMRITI ma'am separately. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Indira ma'am has mentioned in the chat that if there could be a session about breaking the news to end of life to a terminal patient. That's definitely a valuable topic, ma'am. Thank you. We will definitely incorporate that suggestion.
Thank you, ma'am. Jagrati, ma'am.
I think before I mention it is for as far as I'm concerned, I learned a lot, and for me it is a very premature to say what should be included. Still, I'm going to take a lot of time, like so. For me, it was fine.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ajay.
Ma'am, actually, my humble suggestion is that the feedback section in that it was generally for all the sessions. So if it was made specifically for each sessions, we could type more about on that. I think so. That is my only thing.
Raju, we did have a feedback link for every session. I thought we did?
Yes, yes, ma'am. We had a feedback link for every sessions, but what Ajay said is correct. It was like this. All 10 questions were same for all sessions.
I see. Okay, all right.
So what he was telling is, if you make it session based, it would have been good, right, Ajay?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, we will note that, Ajay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Samira?
Yeah, I have 2-3 points to make up here. Like I mean, this may be as a perspective of a doctor or as a person who's there and do quite a good amount of communication there. But on the other side, it's also an individual's responsibility that they should be aware about the concept of self-care. Okay, like uh, how much you will allow yourself to get warned off, to get psychologically disturbed and shattered. So, what should be the coping mechanisms or strategies when a grief comes? Many of the time, community people do not have an understanding about it. At times, sometimes yet it is very well culturally blend, but we need to have more and more advocacy related to that. When an issue about shared decision making comes, and somebody is putting up an effort from the other side, you as a caregiver or you as on the side of being that patient's relative should also be ready to understand uh, the concept of self care. So a more amount of aware understanding be done in that aspect. That is what I would like to suggest here.
So let me try and see if I've understood understood you, Samira. What you're saying is that there is a certain amount of awareness that needs to be imparted to families of patients, that there is a sense of responsibility that they also have towards themselves and their well-being, and that when shared decision making is an option, that responsibility has to be taken from both sides and not just placed at the feet of the healthcare system, but they also have to be made aware that they also have a responsibility towards it. Did I get you correct?
Yeah, true.
I think that's a really important, that's a very important point, and I suppose it takes somebody on the inside of the healthcare system to point it out to us, because it's I wouldn't say easy, but it's the most convenient thing to blame the healthcare system. We all do it. I do it all the time. I mean, there's a reason why I do the work I do, but sometimes in our eagerness to sort of find fault with the healthcare system, we do ignore what part we play in maintaining that system to a certain extent and to actually facilitate that system knowingly or unknowingly. And this is true of all of us. So thank you for highlighting that, because it's not just the responsibility of the healthcare providers, but it's also the responsibility to a large extent of the people seeking that care to play an active role in the outcome. So thank you, Samira. Thanks for that.
Dr. Samira, you wish to add some more, ma'am? Okay, thank you, ma'am. Mo, ma'am?
Well, during the whole session, most of the doctors came to me, but coming from the communication background, I enjoyed sessions of like advocacy with social media, civil society and media, and the advocacy with the government by Shalini, though I missed the second part, but the first part was really very interesting. And by Poonam Bagai regarding the communication skills. I enjoyed these sessions, but as I was new, I would like to know, if more case studies on advocacy and strategies could be there, like anything that whatever have been told, those are all theoretical based. But if there are live case studies, that would have helped us more in to know about how to implement this, or how to about advocacy and about the strategies of communication and all. We have learned about the theories, but from the practical perspectives, if there are more case studies involved, that would have helped in a more better way. That is my suggestion.
Spoken like a true communications expert. The best way to get something across is through a story. Point well taken. Thank you, and that's a very, very, very valuable input. So we will definitely bring in more real stories and more cases to highlight how some of these tools can be implemented. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Kamna, ma'am?
I have to say that I'm very, very happy about the way you have conducted all these sessions. It was very comprehensive. The knowledge was very concentrated. And I do agree with Dr. Samira's inputs as well. I think they're very important. It's a very important thing what she's putting across. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks very much.
Shantanu, sir?
Hold karo. See, I do not have any extra suggestion. I'm fine. What I'm a learner, rather.
Thank you. Thanks, Shantanu.
Sir, anything more, like you wish to hear any new topics included in this program, sir?
No, I can't find anything extra.
Oh, okay, sure. Thank you, sir. Jyoti, ma'am?
Yeah, I mean, see, as a participant, today being the last class, now what next is my question, okay? Now I need to know, if suppose somebody wants to know about palliative care, somebody wants to know about caregivers, you know, a number of questions will be there for a lot of my friends, or if I need to talk to anybody. So I just want to know if, you know, we could have some kind of a toll-free number where I can just tell them that, okay, you know, probably you call them and they'll be able to help you. It could be anywhere in India. Okay, it may not be, I mean, I'm based in Hyderabad. It may not be only in Hyderabad. It could be any of my friends anywhere around. Because a lot of people, when I tell them that, you know, this, the palliative care comes home once a month, or, you know, twice a month, whatever, need-based for my dad. The question is, in what way are they helping you? How is it, you know, how is it benefiting your dad or you? So, okay, those things I can really tell them, but then I need to know if, you know, we could have some kind of, I could give them some kind of a direction, saying that you call these people and they'll help you out. Probably, you know, you could benefit from that. And even for me, like, what next? Suppose I need to know somebody locally here in Hyderabad. How do I go about it? You know, if I have any query. I mean, the team is coming home, no doubt, but in general, okay? And suppose somebody else wants it. Is there any kind of contact point going ahead? Yeah.
Thank you, Jyoti. So, firstly, that idea about a toll-free number is something that I have to admit I have personally never thought about before, but I can see why that would be valuable. We would have to think about the logistics of how that can be implemented and who would take the onus to answer that or to take that on, because what you're essentially describing is a helpline of sorts where people can call in and get information about palliative care and stuff. We are not a very, I mean, that would be such a great thing if people can just pick up the phone and talk to somebody on the other side. So I'm not going to make any promises right here, but you've just actually sparked off a whole series of ideas in my head. We are working on something at the moment, and I feel that this is something we should include in that discussion. In fact, that's happening on Monday. So very timely, very timely input, and I will be sure to raise this, and I will definitely get back to you and this whole group if something substantial can come out of it, because the person who is going to have to be on the other side of that phone call needs to be an extremely well-informed person themselves. And most well-informed people are already on the field. I don't know who's going to be able to take those calls, but we're going to have to create a team of people who can handle that. So I will most certainly, I've already made a note of it. I'll most certainly work on it. And what next in Hyderabad? So once we're done with this round of discussion, we'll tackle that. What next with Aarohan? What next with each of you and where you are located? That is the next part of this session. So I will be addressing that specifically, what you have just put on the table. All right. Thank you.
And to add, Jyoti ma'am, this is only the end of our academic sessions, and our program is not going to end here. Our actual work is going to start now. So we are not going anywhere at all. We'll all be here in this platform working together towards the advocacy for palliative care. Next.
Chandrarekha ma'am.
Yes, sorry, I had to leave in between. There was some interview from the media, so I could not avoid that. So I missed upon it. I think I missed a few sessions also because I was out of country. But anyway, whatever sessions I have attended, all of them have been very, very fruitful. And I'm very, very thankful to you for making me a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Srividya ma'am, can you hear us now?
Yes, madam. Now I can hear you.
Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, we were talking about the questions we have shared today, like what were useful from our sessions, what more can be done from our end, what topics we can include. So, you can comment on that.
Actually, all the sessions are very good, but personally, I felt more connected with this session on end of life, and the session, actually I don't remember the exact title, but the one with youth and all, that was very nice. And what actually all the sessions were very good. I did not know that this much had been done to improve the care in the community. So the legal issues and other things that were covered to come this much this forward was very nice. Then only thing I wanted to know more is about palliative counseling. So if you can include in future programs, it will be very nice.
Thank you. Thanks, Srividya. Glad to know that you found most of it, all of it useful. As far as palliative counseling is concerned, I trained in psychology and integrative psychology, and let me tell you, there was nothing I could study. Whatever I had to study, I had to figure it out on my own. There was no recourse for someone with my background to really be trained specifically in the aspects of counseling and palliative care. So that resonates with me a lot, that there's a huge void in the education system right now for counselors, because providing counseling to families going through these kind of journeys it requires a certain level of perspective change. And but I'm happy to tell you that at the moment we are working on a primer for counselors and for non-medical clinicians that we hope will roll out by the first quarter of next year. There are a few of us who are working on creating that primer in the form of a workbook, which will make it easy to understand some of the psychological concepts that go particularly into the field of palliative care. My personal concern with teaching mental health issues on an online forum is that mental health is not as quantitative as any of the other sciences, and a lot of it has to be experiential and insight driven learning. So I have reservations about that being taught on a platform that is not immersive. So I feel that that's something that requires a lot of role playing and simulations and things like that till we hone our skills. Having said that, there is an ongoing ECHO program for social workers and counselors. We are now going into the third part of it. You're welcome to join that, because there we are tackling specific issues pertaining to psychosocial health in palliative care. So we're halfway through it now, but you're very welcome to join it. All of you are. And we will look to be starting a new session on that next February, Raju, I think. I'm going to leave that to you. But so that is also the first time a program like this is being done. So we're also learning a lot of things along the way. A lot of that is just topics that introduce you to sessions that introduce you to certain topics, like like yesterday we had a session on addiction issues. We've had sessions on mental health and so on. By no means are these sessions meant to qualify people to go out into the field and do some of the interventions, but it's certainly an introduction. And I think my open invitation to everybody is that if there's a particular topic that interests you or you find that you're faced with quite often, we're happy to do a more sort of one-on-one training with you on that front. There is a severe lack of experts in the field today in India. I think there are just, I don't know, I can count it on my hands how many psychiatrists and psychologists are dedicated to palliative care entirely. So this is something that we as a community need to take forward. So thank you, but you're welcome to come and join the ECHO session for non-medical clinicians. That happens every Friday.
So we have already completed
Saturday, sorry. Oh, Friday. Sorry.
Friday, correct. So we have completed around 15 sessions. So I will give you the video link of all the completed sessions. If you wish, you can go through it. And we are having 12 more sessions to go. It will be on Friday from 3 to 4:30 p.m. Same timing itself. So from next Friday onwards, I can send you the invitation. You can log in on Friday if you wish to log.
And yeah, this is great timing because one of our upcoming sessions is going to be led by Samira. So there's already a synergy between this group and that. So I'm sure you'll all want to be part of that session.
Yes, ma'am. So ma'am, Indra ma'am have added one more thing. I do wish we could have a common platform to discuss the queries in the future. WhatsApp.
We already have that WhatsApp group with all the participants in, and let's keep that live and then have all the discussions, all possible discussions on that, even after we complete our sessions and activities. Let that be a lifetime friendship group, I would say.
So ma'am,
that will be the easiest way, yeah. Sorry, Raju.
We have completed all our participants. Now you can start.
Okay, so Ashla, can I invite you to just sort of introduce this section of the discussion, and then we'll take it from there.
Thank you, Smriti. So, like all our 15 sessions, right?
16 sessions.
15 session, and today we are on the 16th session. So, all these 15 sessions were on learning different things, how to talk to media, how to take care of ourselves, what should we understand as a person before we go out to the community. So, here now we stand in a position where we are at least equipped with some kind of knowledge that we can go into the community and talk about palliative care or whatever topic you want to advocate for. So that it will then not be only palliative care, but you will have your own criteria or your own priorities of topics also for Shankar sir, it might be Parkinson's disease, or for Samira, it might be issues with LGBTQ, or for me and Ajay, it would be issues for people with disabilities, anything like that. So what I would like to see for the next 2 months is like, let's take some maybe a week or 10 days to figure out what we are going to do, and let's come out with something which is measurable, so that we ourselves can tick off whatever we have done, and we'll feel proud of ourselves end of 2 months. So we'll be able to measure that, and then see the immediate impact and outcome of that whatever activities we have gone through. So I would like everyone to go through this seriously, take it seriously, and think about what it could be simple, and it could be small, like writing on social media maybe every weekly about issues which you feel about, and then how you can take it, and we can all like fundraising for a campaign, or start a campaign on the topic which is close to your heart. So, and then we'll all help each other to take that into more people, so that we'll be able to reach more and more people, and then we'll be able to get more support from the community. So that's what I would like to add more. And Smriti.
Sorry. Thank you, Ashla. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry. This is a daily battle on any echo platform for me with my dogs. They all like to be heard as well. Okay, so what I was going to add to what Ashla said is that, yes, it's very, very important for us not to just, having learned all these things together, it's important that we put it into action. And only then will these sessions really, have the impact that we hope to have. So rather than leaving it open-ended, maybe what we can do is, like Ashla said, let's set little goals for ourselves. They don't have to be big goals. They can be smaller, achievable goals. And Ashla mentioned, writing something on social media about palliative care, spreading awareness through that, starting a campaign, pitching in for some fundraising with somebody who's doing palliative care in your community, or something related to what is close to your heart. To that, I would also like to add that as a group, I heard so much today from all of you about how valuable you found the advanced care planning session. How about we as a group decide, how about we do something around that? How about we take advanced care planning to more people in our communities? So that is something that I've heard more than 3 people talk about. We need more clarity on the technical aspects of it. How do we really take it out into the community? What are the complications? So that is definitely, to me, emerging as an area that we can all work together, because we all see the value in it. What I can I don't want to impose, but I would like to propose we do, is if this is something that all of us as a group are interested in, then perhaps we can take it up as a topic to, like I was saying, we are working with the Conversation Project. So how many of you would like to sort of sign up with that? And the idea of the Conversation Project is to bring these conversations into the family setting. Now, someone had also talked about communication with patients for end-of-life care. This fits beautifully in with the Conversation Project. So in a sense, we're talking about communication and we're talking about advanced care planning. So this is something, Ashla, that perhaps as a group, that can be one area of focus. I think it's important that we, like I've also heard a lot of people saying, how do we stay in touch? And how do we come back to a common platform? And like Ashla said, this is not the end, this is where we start to work. So I would also suggest that we have one or two projects that we as a group work together on to keep ourselves motivated and to continue to be in touch with each other. And then things that we do individually where we are. So there are 2 parts to this planning. So one, what would we as a group like to work on together? And one of my suggestions is to work on the Conversation Project and advanced care planning. And 2, what can people do on their own in their own cities? For some of you who feel confident about it later on, one of the things that is happening across the country is death over dinner. Those conversations where you invite somebody over for a meal and actually destigmatize the conversation about death and illness. And that is something that we can all do. I mean, it's actually not easy talking to our closest friends and family about this. I mean, I find it easier to talk to colleagues and strangers about palliative care than I do to my own family and friends. But this is something where we can maybe take that small step and start having those conversations, and that can be guided by us. So there is a certain protocol that can be followed. There are certain topics of discussion. There's certain etiquette that is to be followed at these dinners and lunches or coffees or whatever. So that is something that we can all do in our own spaces. So Ashna, that's where I would like to leave it. Like, can we decide on what we will work on as a group together, and what can people do in their own time as individuals? So some suggestions from the group would be great.
Yeah, and it's just a random thought now. Now that everyone are so interested and keen on advanced care planning, can we have a session and then prepare our own advanced care planning? We'll do it, like, unless we do it for ourselves, we'll not be able to guide anybody to do it or help anyone else in that. And then there will be a lot, like, everyone has a lot of questions around that, I'm sure. But maybe we'll be able to answer some, and then 1.5 hours is enough for us to just make a start. We'll start and then we'll ask questions on, okay, what all to add, and then they'll have some time to think about it and prepare their own advanced care plan. So maybe we can have one session on one of the Saturdays. If all are interested, maybe we can discuss that on the WhatsApp group. And then I would like to have everyone to send me a copy of what they plan to do for maybe next 2 months. We are only on 19th day of October now, so we have till October 31st. So take your time, think about what you can do as a person, and then maybe what you expect to do as a group also, and then maybe as a group we can have more discussions on. But as a person, whatever you want to do, you can start doing it also. So we will have a track on what is going to happen. We know what we can expect after 2 months, and it will be so great to see what we can all together achieve after maybe 7 months or so. So if you can send us a copy of what you think is possible from your end. You all have a lot of other commitments to, we understand, but still, like, whatever is possible with your timeline, and it will be a commitment. Once you write it down, it's kind of more of a commitment than what you have in your thoughts and in your brain. I feel so usually. So it will be great to have. And then if you already have anything in your mind, and if you want to discuss it in this platform now, we have 15 minutes. If you can raise your hands, we can go ahead with that. So that will be a good start.
And just to add to that, I mean, the range of activities, there's no limit to it. There's no limit to it. It could be, you could say, okay, in the next 2 months, I would like to get together a group of women, I'm saying women just randomly, in my community, and we're going to sit down and talk about what caregiving means. Or I'm going to get a group of people together over for a dinner and talk about advanced care planning once we're more confident about it. Or I would like to write an article for the newspaper. Like, I mean, already there's, Jagrati ma'am has already written a beautiful one. And so those kind of, sort of goal setting, that's one. The other thing I would like to mention to everybody here is we have a national outreach program that Pallium India does. And the national outreach program, I'm sure you've got a great sense of what it is about from Shalini's presentations. But just to sort of bring that back in, while our flagship is in Trivandrum, which is the Trivandrum Institute of Palliative Sciences, a large part of the work that Pallium India does is to reach out to communities, individuals, organizations across India, and assist them in catalyzing
the development of palliative care. Now, what our typical model has been is to identify champions, whether they're individuals or like I said, government or non-government organizations, hospitals, it could be anything. And anybody who has a zeal to bring palliative care into the community, we try and assist them in any way possible, usually as technical and knowledge partners. And we help them with capacity building, people train with us and so on and so forth. So there are already existing networks in different parts of India. And these networks are managed by a fantastic team of National Outreach Program officers. And they have very quietly, but diligently been sitting through some of our sessions. And so I want to just take this opportunity to introduce you to some of our National Outreach team members. I can't really, I'm on my phone, Raju, so I'm not sure who all are here. But I'll start with the person sitting at the back, Vijesh, who I'm sure is a familiar face to a lot of you. Vijesh is our National Outreach coordinator. He keeps it clicking and ticking. And he's the one who's constantly sort of, keeping track of what's going on everywhere. So Vijesh is the guy who's got his finger on the pulse of things. And that's him. Vijesh, I'm not going to speak on your behalf. Please come and say a few words.
I was actually part of the program from the interview itself. Yes. So I don't think there is any need for introduction. I'm always
no,
here.
But in terms of your role as the National Outreach Coordinator, I don't think people are familiar with that hat that you wear. So maybe if you could tell them a little bit about what you do on that front.
Sure. So we have, as Smriti said, program officers in different parts of the country, north, west, northeast, center, south. So I am sort of coordinating the program based at Trivandrum. So I do some number crunching, and that's the kind of thing. So other than that, I do some other technical work as well. So that's the sort of work I do. So you can always contact me if you. Regional program officers will be always reachable to you. In case you think something needs to be coordinated at head office level, so you can contact me also, and I'm always here. The whole team is always here.
Thanks, Vijesh, for that rather modest introduction of what you do. It's not just a little bit of number crunching. I mean, that number crunching is essential to making things run. But like Vijesh has said, that we have officers in different parts of the country. I have to say that the National Outreach Program, to a large extent, owes its current success to Shalini. Shalini is the one who handled the National Outreach Program for a long time, for a couple of years. And a lot of what we are building on today is the foundation that Shalini laid. So Shalini is actually our expert on the National Outreach Program to a large extent. We also, Indra ma'am, yes, we have somebody in Delhi. We have Saima, and Saima handles the northern region. So she couldn't be here today because she's busy doing something important. And she wanted to really be here, and I would have been happy to introduce you directly. But I will, we will speak with Saima and have her reach out to you. She's based out of Delhi, and then perhaps we can even orchestrate a meeting, and then you can talk to her a little bit more about what you have in mind. We have, so I can't really see who's here, but I'm just going to just tell everybody where everyone is. We have Shubhangi, who is handling Central and West India. Shubhangi is based out of Madhya Pradesh, but is handling various aspects. So she's also looking into Chhattisgarh, she's looking into Maharashtra, and she's looking into Madhya Pradesh, and parts of UP as well. Shreya, for the time being, is looking into East UP. And we have Ron Sangma, who is based out of Guwahati. He's handling the entire Northeast region. And we have Charles, but we have Satish, who is handling South India. And Shalini is, of course, now in Goa. She's based out of Goa and has tremendous expertise, like I said, on pretty much everything that's going on. And Shalini has been a consistent part of this program as well. So I'm sure Shalini will be happy to connect with any of you on any of the questions you might have. And yeah, and so of course we have everybody on board. We have Liji, and we have Liji, who's based out of Kerala, so she handles the Kerala side of things. So there's a whole team in place. Please feel free. And when I say assist in catalyzing services, whether it's I think Shantanu has already worked with us closely, and so has Samira on accessing affordable essential medicine, accessing narcotics and analgesics. So everything from that technical side to also, providing information on how to organize a setup. How do you organize palliative care in your community? We have different protocols for that. So we're happy to share all of that information with you. So please feel free to get in touch. And like Ashla has also reiterated, it's important for us to set these goals. That WhatsApp group is going to be a group in perpetuity. I don't think we're ending it anytime. So that's that. Ashla, I've been rambling on.
But it was all useful information, Smriti. Thank you. And like as I have already said, we have take your 10 days of October to figure out what you're going to do for next 2 months, and then please do send me. And then shall we have a call? Like next week is going to be the Diwali weekend, so we don't want to get you onto a call during that Diwali evening. So let's have a call on or session on November 2nd, the same time, like 3 to 4:30, so that we will know like what each others are planning to do, and whatever we can discuss on your action points, and then maybe something as a group, whatever you feel you can take it up. So you're going to send me 2 lists. One is going to be your personal action plan goals, whatever you want to do, and then the another one is kind of as a group what you think we can do, maybe 2 or 3 things. So maybe we can take it from the whole group and find out the common ones, or whatever is achievable. So we will decide on what as a group we are going to achieve in another 2 months, and as your personal action plan also. Maybe we can discuss that on November 2nd during the same time. So please do send me the details by 31st of October. So I'll be waiting for your all exciting action items and goals. So,
sorry, Asha. Before we close, I think it would be great to hear from Shalini, because I've talked about her. I'd like her to speak as well. Shalini, would you like to add anything to this discussion?
Thank you, Smriti. Thank you for your kind words and mentioning my name. I think it's the national outreach team overall, which is really, making all the news, and I'm very proud to be part of it. There were just a couple of thoughts that were coming in my mind, which I wanted to share, and you definitely covered the national outreach team introduction. I also wanted to mention about directory that is there on the Pallium India website. So if any of them want to reach out for any palliative care center, for every state there is a separate center list which is mentioned. So feel free to log in onto the website and look for the names and the contact details if you want to help anyone. And the other thought that I had was, and Ashla, this is particularly to your plan of action by each one of them. I think it will be great if we listen from each one of them what they are doing in their capacities right now. Each of them are engaged in an NGO, or they are running an NGO, or they are themselves doing so much work. So if they will just present about the work that they are doing right now. I remember you had shared some introduction in the beginning on an Excel sheet. But if, each of them would present what they are doing, what are their challenges, a quick, probably 5 or 10 minutes presentation, and then it will also give us a insight how Pallium India can help them in what they are doing. So we will also understand their world and then relate it to palliative care. So these were a couple of thoughts that were there. I don't know how feasible it is, whether there can be a session on that or not, but I just thought I'll share with you. Thank you, Smriti.
Thank you, Shalini. I think if like when you send your action items itself, if you can include a brief intro of the current work, maybe that will help us, like that will act as a starting point. It will be great. And then we, during that session, because we may not get the time for everyone's introduction and then also to discuss on the action plan. So if we can share some, maybe a small paragraph on, I'm sure that you may not be able to limit it to the small paragraph, but like you're welcome to write all the activities which you are doing now. And then I promise that I'll go through everything and I'll make a note of a summary for people to share with each other. Thank you, Shalini, for mentioning that.
Yeah, thank you, Shalini. That is an extremely, extremely valuable input. Also, the thing is that considering that the bandwidth of what Pallium India does and the services and technical support that it can provide, perhaps the participants themselves may not know where we can come in. But if we take a look at what you're doing, then perhaps we might have a better idea of how we can assist, and we can make those suggestions and see if it works. So thank you, Shalini. That was great. And of course, the directory is a really important resource hub for us, so to speak. I want to mention that at the moment, the Pallium India website is not the most wieldy, and we're reworking it. But the information is all there. You just might have to dig around a little bit. But what we can actually do, Raju, is share the link to the directly, so that people don't have to waste time looking for it on our website. That might be a time-saving option. So a few things that from our side that we're going to share today are the link to the directory. We're also going to help me out here. I seem to have completely blanked out. Sorry, Ashla. It's been a bit of a long day. We're also going to be we're going to be reconvening on the 31st of October, on the 2nd of November.
2nd of November is going to be the next session.
Yeah.
And then they'll all be going to send me the list of things.
Right.
And then one more thing, before I forget, I just wanted to add that if at any point of time, if you come across any patient who is suffering any part of India, and if you want to write to us saying that, okay, do you know, give us a shout out saying that, do you know anybody who can help this person, please do write to us, maybe info@Pallium India. I can share that also with the learning points or summary of the session which we send. So please do send us. We get a lot of queries asking, I know this person suffering at this point, will you be able to find somebody and connect somebody to? And then we do that. So instead of a toll-free number, we have an information center number also. So I'll share that number. So if you really want to call and ask us, okay, do you know any palliative care center in this area, and you are not in a position to check the directory, we'll be able to tell you that also. So I'll share both the email ID and the phone number wherein you can reach us and ask for any palliative care centers across the country, any available centers.
And just two more things I suddenly remembered. One is we're going to share the ECHO link, Raju, for the MSW ECHO with this group, so that and what we are covering, the topics over the next couple of months, so that they know when they can plug into it. And lastly, I'm sorry, Jyoti, I did not answer your question, even though I promised to. I can introduce you to somebody in Hyderabad who is doing palliative care, and I will do it over an email. Her name is Dr. Gayatri Palat. She's at the MNJ Institute, and they're doing some really phenomenal work. In fact, there's a training center also that they run. So I'll be happy to connect you with Gayatri. So Raju, I think time for concluding remarks. And
so thank you, everyone. So I feel more excited now than before we were starting, because we are really going into the field and going to do something. So it's going to be 2 exciting 2 months, I'm sure. So I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you about your plans, and I'll send the summary of the session and then with all this information to you. And Indira ma'am, we are not going anywhere. We'll all be here. We'll be together working, even after the 2 months of our plans, we'll be together working. So we'll all be here. Looking forward.
Sorry, one last thing. I promise. Last thing. Promise. We will just add all the national program officers to the Aarohan WhatsApp group, so that it becomes a central forum where all of us can exchange information. So we'll be adding all the national outreach program officers, and then I'll introduce you all to everybody, and then then everybody has access to everyone.
Sure. We can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you all. So from now on, we can meet on Fridays, I suppose, not on Saturdays.
Oh, there must have been.